Blog Talk Radio.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, everybody out there in cyberspace. We are going to share our Cyberspace Culture Club. A lot of people don't know that we share Extraterrestrial Soul Growth, Future for Terrans. So this is going to be an interesting show because we've always been out there, but we don't really sensationalize who we are that often, especially on radio. But it's time for visibility, for everybody to be stepping up to the plate and being accounted for, because all these radio waves go out there, and, you know, we do all things allowed by law. And my dog says hello. So she sees somebody in the window. So we are at home, as most people know, just about everybody. There's so many malls down. I guess they're going to make something out of it for the homeless in America. They sure need to. So there's supposed to be something coming up in the future with us making America great again. And Biden, I guess, is going to do that as president, doing his infrastructure for bridges and roads, and hopefully get some people out there that are homeless into these malls we've got around. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but that's what I heard in the old Walmarts. But today, you know, we can talk about what's happening right here on the planet. And I've asked my associate from UAP Associates and UFO Association and our Spiritual Growth Club, which is Cyberspace Culture Club, our ACO Club, and we're doing YouTube's educational information out there. And people say, I don't know how educational, or some say how informational, but if I can watch all these commercials in my doctor's office, I figure we can at least say that we're doing our best to keep you entertained. So welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. We've been here since 2012, and Pastor Richard T. Night of Sundays, but today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is still our metaphysical day. So we're going to try to bring in all the higher levels and how we're going to do this. So I've been making a few YouTubes. We're going to connect some of the colors out there, and I've got universe, multiverse, metaverse, universe, omniverse, alphaverse, and omegaverse. But I've also seen where a lot of reporters have been fired for a slip of the tongue, but some that people are much more famous than we are. But, you know, who knows? President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. wants me to take a minute to read this email right now, what it means to be a Biden-Harris founding donor, and then think about chipping in a few. Well, interesting, Mr. President Joseph R. Biden, Jr., that just came up and flashed on my screen. I guess they need some money. Richard, what do you think?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I don't doubt that in the least, because, I mean, you know, we're running red. Last I heard, we're not running green yet. So we got to at least go from the red to the black and then hopefully on to the green. But, of course, the only way we're going to do that is to bring about our economic regrowth and our economic overcoming of this pandemic and all that kind of good stuff. Did you hear me?
Oh, sorry. I was turning on. Is this Laura, 916?
I'm not sure. Could be.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes, it's Laura. How are you?
Hi, Laura. Yeah, wonderful. I didn't know if you were going to show up. I'll put your name instead of others. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Now, you live in California, and I would love to get to know you better. So welcome aboard. And we're doing Extraterrestrial Soul Growth, Future of Terrans. But I don't know how weird this will sound for somebody like you, but how public can you be, Laura? I don't know. We haven't discussed this. How out there in visibility land? You know, I mean, you have social media on the internet, right? You have Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of that, right? Coco.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, I have all that.
Okay, well, can we welcome you into our group? And you know, I'm sure you'll be getting to know us better. I feel like you know us a little better than we know you. But you have some brilliant educational background I was very interested in, so I told Richard you may be coming. So thank you so much for participating today. Can you tell us what you're allowed to talk about? I know you're not handling classified material, but you do have a very interesting background. Would you be able to, just talk on the radio? I guess you can, or you wouldn't have called in, right?
Yeah, I have a little bit of time. I just want to caveat. I just want to say that I'll probably have to jump off in about 30 minutes or a little less, but so I can't stay the whole time, although I'm going to listen the whole time. And I do have a top secret clearance just for, in my work, since I work on criminal cases. So I can't talk about that, but I could talk about, other things like UFOs or extraterrestrials or anything else of the subject that you have going today.
Wow. How exciting is that, Richard? Somebody that's willing to step out and a newbie, so to speak. Well, Laura, you aren't out there working with any other UFO groups, are you? Are you in MUFON or CUFOs or any of that?
No, it just kind of started as a curiosity, like over a decade ago. I'm in my late 30s now, just kind of like started watching Ancient Aliens and stuff like that, maybe even over 10 years ago. And it just kind of went from there. So you were talking about Project Blue Book, meeting Dr. Hynek. I saw the Project Blue Book show recently on the History Channel. And I kind of looked at myself through a magnifying glass these last couple of years when I realized that I'm having a spiritual awakening. I'm like, well, I always was, but I didn't realize it till now, in early 2019. And it wasn't like a midlife crisis or anything. It felt like it was, but it wasn't. It was a spiritual, like a spiritual emergency, I guess. That, a lot of people probably think I'm menopausing or I'm, having a psychiatric emergency or, something like that because of all the symptoms you get around that time. And so since then, I've just really, dived a lot deeper. I went back and I watched like that Close to Kind. I know Dr. Hynek with Spielberg was, part of making that movie. And, and I kind of wonder about myself, like being a starseed and all that. That's why I was asking, I've been talking to Richard offline a bit and asking about a reading because I know my mother, who I'm not sure if she's listening right now, she's retired. She might or might not be. I asked her to listen. I know she's had an abduction experience at least one time. And I know things like that kind of like run in the family. So that's pretty much it. Related to this topic, that's pretty much what I have.
No, that's great. Wow. In a nutshell, you've probably one of the most precise I've ever heard speak, and conscious of your spiritual growth, relating it to extraterrestrials and sightings, and your mother's having a sighting, but she's welcome to come on and share anytime. And on Fridays, we used to have that, and I'll have to get into that more. But today, extraterrestrial soul growth, I do believe that it's had a lot to do with my own soul growth, as I'm sure Richard does. But while you've got some time, let's get to know you. Richard, would you like to ask her any questions? Because she's also crossed over into our law enforcement criminal justice, although she's over where you were born in California. Now, Richard, folks, is in Valdosta, Georgia, and I'm in Gulf Breeze, Florida, one of the pinnacles or one of the nodes, or if you will, on the path that leads up to the ET Highway, alien ET Highway up in Area 51. But Richard is holding a very important Valdosta, Georgia, where the man that speaks on the front of the radio is actually in Valdosta as well, and that's Thomas R. Becker, one of our authors and radio managers. Richard, can you hear me? And would you like to help, us with Laura, because I asked her to come and share who she is?
Yes, I'm always available. I'm going to steer away from Laura's personal position and so forth, because it requires a great deal of responsibility and finesse, as we both know from personal experience in the past. When you get into the upper echelon of law enforcement, then of course, there's all kinds of craziness involved. But I want to congratulate you, Laura, for actually joining us, simply because you've explained that you've had this more or less coming out through your chrysalis experience. In other words, you're awakening consciously to your spirituality in a deep-set way. And it does show, our audience out there that, hello, yes, we are perfectly normal. We are perfectly sane. We may be even geniuses to some extent, which, of course, they say that there's a fine line between being a genius and being eccentrically strange or possibly insane. But anyway, I would say that, you need a bit of craziness to be here anyway, especially at this time in the epoch of the onset of man's evolutionary course, as it were. So yes, I think it's very fascinating, and I would ask that if you want to explain or perhaps share any specific experiences or aha moments that you might have had in the past, Laura.
Well, I have an accounting background, so I'm reading the Sacred Geometry book now, and I don't remember if it was Ancient Aliens or one of those shows. I also have a subscription to Gaia, so now I'm like information overload on this kind of stuff, which I love because I'm an investigator, so I can absorb a lot of information quickly in a short amount of time and kind of just glean the points that I like.
Wonderful.
So I was like, there has to be some higher power, but not just that, a designer of the universe, because it's something like, and I'm probably saying it wrong, paraphrasing, when you look at the moon and there's a perfect eclipse when you look at the moon, and something like the distance of the moon is exactly 400 times the size and exactly 400 times away from our Earth, so we can see it, so it's not, halfway covered or partially covered or, something like that. And, that just kind of rang a bell for me. And then you hear the pyramids have these specific measurements and all this basically sacred geometry. Statistically, I went to grad school, have an MBA, and took stats 1 and 2. So statistically speaking, what are the stats on that happening? Like several billion or something, where the moon would fit perfectly just in that place at that, 400th size or whatever from the planet, where we can view the perfect eclipse or, something like that. And that not only that, if it's a solar eclipse, it's the same thing, where I think I don't remember, I'm not an astrologer or anything, but, whether it's the moon in between the planet or the sun in between the planet, they both fit perfectly for eclipses. Then I'm part Mesoamerican, Aztecs and Mayans all were into eclipses and sun worship, and a lot like ancient Egypt. So that boggles my mind, because the statistics of that happening naturally are almost nil, if not almost impossible. So when I heard that, and then then of course I started thinking about crystals, and I'm like, well, if a crystal can store a terabyte of information, and we're already using them in electronics and whatnot, why don't they just etch, something into a crystal, and then lo and behold, a week later, I guess it's a synchronicity, Ancient Aliens or something pops up. Oh, back in 2015 in the UK, they invented a little sliver of a crystal that has, the whole Bible on it, terabytes and terabytes, which is a lot of information in computer language. And, and it's on the crystal. And I'm like, well, yeah, but, that was my idea, or I thought it was, it's like one of those things where, kind of, it all, I got a lot of those synchronicities and, during, I guess it was meditation, and I asked for it. So that,
wow.
those like aha moments just kind of, they blew my mind.
Yeah.
And
welcome to our world.
Yeah.
Well, I think Marcy, Marcy, is that you that joined us?
That's me, DJ.
Hi, Marcy. I asked Marcy to show up in case Laura did. Now, Laura, you learned about us through Marcy. Is that correct? Or close to it?
Yes, actually, I read Marcy's book. I'm kind of local to her. We're only about 100 miles away. I met her in person. As I consider her a spiritual mentor and friend. And we're actually both Tauruses. Our birthday. Hey, Marcy. And then Marcy introduced me to Richard, who is an amazing, shaman and etc. and 20 other things I don't have time to name. And then now I'm meeting you, Miss Teresa. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is awesome. I really want us to have more people that feel like they're connected to Richard and I, because this is quite an adventure. And mine is like Marcy's and Laura's and Richard's. And it's like being on a spiritual journey, and it's synchronicity. And you think, aha, I came up with this great idea. And then you start researching it and find out half the world's got the same aha. And that's how God works, folks. He makes more universes and more things than we can possibly imagine. So we'll keep that cosmos divine synergy going, and we'll keep looking up to the cosmos. I really believe that curiosity and forethought is a lot of who we are, and before the ideas came out to be. So this is a very deep, deep subject today, extraterrestrial soul growth future of Terrans. Now, we're going to claim ourselves as Terrans. Laura, would you like to explain that? And we'll get Marcy to do a quick introduction and join in with you. Do you realize we're Terrans? Yes or no? Do you call yourself a Terran, or do you understand that's whatever we are called?
Yes. For me, I speak some Spanish. Tierra in Spanish means the earth, Gaia. And so, yes, we're in the earth 3D, or if you want to even say up to 5D now, some of us maybe. We're in the earth plane right now. So, yes, right now I consider myself a Terran of Tierra, or the earth. So
wow.
I don't know how many times I've been here, but I don't think it's my first rodeo. I always felt like an old soul. But
you've been here a lot.
Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful. Y'all have made my day, because, we're all here, but it's sometimes when you're day in and day out, and I'm a developer, and I work on the computer, and I want to help us grow things and get our way of reality out there. We're just one thread in the big quilt of this particular universe among many universes. However, not everyone can speak at that level, including many metaphysicians that study physics and quantum physics. And I'm doing my best to, bring together people, but the people pretty much have to find us. I'm doing the best I can to keep us visible in marketing, but I almost gave up right when Richard Knight came into my life. Isn't that interesting? And then Marcy said she'd join us, so she was number 2. And now it looks like, Laura, you're number 3. Let's see if you start with 0, we'll start with 0 in the universe. So then I'm doing the resourcing, and then Richard, and then Marcy, and then Laura from Marcy. So now we've got 4 legs, 4 corners we can stand on, folks. So Wednesdays are looking pretty good for radio. Laura and Marcy, I'd like you guys to help me and Richard, because Laura has probably at work, or at least can't stay the whole 2 hours, but
yeah, I'm surprised she's actually talking. She usually is working around this time.
Yeah. So how did you girls, well, Marcy, you told me you had to go to work 4 to 9. So does that mean you're calling in right before your work?
No. Well, what happened is, I was at the casino. I started a new job, which is working with mentally disabled and home health, and I got a new client, really good energy. She has 178 hours a month. There's already a staff member that's kind of flicking out, but she gets 160. And it was the last 3 days, and they're like, okay, you can use up to 15 hours. So her shift is 7 till 3. So all I have to do is the 15 hours. The client really likes me, and hopefully I get more hours with her. so I was at the casino. I'm like, okay, I go home and watch Dr. Phil and, go to work. And then I saw your email, and I'm like, and then my guys are like, go on, So it all works out. And my client, I get along really well. I like her energy. I could be a little bit late probably with her because she meets me in the lobby. And I could feel them wanting to tone. I already was talking to Shauna on the phone today. Shauna got initiated. I'm so proud of her with the Great White Brotherhood. They came in Elohim. So she was told she deserves it and she earned it. And I really had to emphasize that with her. But it was really neat experience. The vortex was opening up. I was hearing tones. I'm glad Richard gets to hear this because I was going to text him anyway on this. So, and I've been watching them all. And I was saying her eyes are like pure white. So it's just fun watching everybody grow and everybody expand and this white consciousness that's going on. If you guys want, I got to do a tone because until I do, they stay in my brain.
Okay. Well, radio folks, this is Marcy Kosich, and she is the tone goddess of our Wednesdays and the extraterrestrial folder. Go ahead. I'm sure Richard and I are used to it. Laura, you must be used to it if you
Laura's
know Marcy.
used to it too. Her son, how old is Zane for? Zane loves my tone. She sings with me. Well,
he's like 3.5.
Peter takes over. Yeah, somewhere like that. It's really great to hear him doing his singing along with it. All right. And anybody can tone along with me. The more that we put that tonal energy out, that's how churches were made for resonance of tones. That's how temples were made. That's how we talk to the gods and the energies. And so anybody that wants to, they're welcome to. The more of that energy, the more it goes to healing the earth and the grid. I got to hit it because they're coming in real strong. I think they've been with me all day.
Okay.
I went to the casino and ate a really good meal. Someone told me to eat, so I ate at the buffet, so I'm really grounded, focused, replenished, all that stuff.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the floor.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
I got Elohim with me.
That's wonderful. You want to explain that to people now?
What?
You want to explain that to people, what you're toning, because they may or may not be familiar with it. But
yeah, I know. I had to do it after I did the tones. Okay, so I've been doing the tones now for about 15 years. Tones have been around for thousands and thousands of years. That's how there was communication. It goes on the right side of the brain, the serotonin. When I work on people personally, as Richard and TJ and Laura knows, a lot of times I'm being told what area to work on. It will work on, I asked them one time when they were channeling, I asked them what they do, and they said it helps bring us in so we can work on people's Akashic records. And also, it's like, it doesn't hit by lineage, it hits by vibration. So you may feel past lives coming up, you may feel inner child, you may feel post-traumatic. So these energies that are high frequency break up the lower carbon energy, which is fear, shame, guilt, anger. And what it does is we have photons in our body, which is like beads of light. Humans usually are like 8 to 20. We can go up to like 1,000 photons. And what happens with that is kind of like oil and water. The lower carbon is kind of like is like oil. As we clear out and dissipate that energy, then we raise our vibration. When we raise our vibration or our frequency, each dimension has their own frequency, and so we get higher and higher guides like school. So that sometimes people pray. If they have really dense energy, the guides and the angels can't work on it. Like Shauna has been working very, very hard. She's been doing a medicine circle, which has been with her on that. And so they know, and they know what our energies are. They know what our past lives are. They know what we've done. And so this helps with my book that I wrote for Tarot Healing Energy, Tones and Ascension. It's Theta. It's on Amazon. I have my other book. It explains my spiritual journey, which was in it. Laura, I felt like was supposed to get the book, but, you know, she read the book, but she's part of it now. And so what happens is as we raise our vibration, we get more inner peace, we get more balance, we get more aligned.
Wonderful.
That's what it tells you.
Yeah, and I really want people to understand that there's so much sound out there, tones, vibrations, and bandwidth, and colors, and all of that, all in all the universes, and we're going to start working with all of that, and people bring to a little feedback. Now mine's down. The tones, Laura. What do you bring brilliance to the table, and the Tara helping us with who you are while you're on your spiritual journey. What do you feel a passion for that you can bring to this group that you've joined here? Because she has gone to patreon.com/Teresa J. Morris and has become one of our supporters, and we really appreciate it, Laura. And you're our first outside of my last group from before 2020. I had to sort of start over again. So she's my one and only right now, besides Ronnie Dawson, that contributes a tiny bit because he believes in what I'm doing. But, Laura, you know, I can see you helping us with our journal articles because you're way up there in intelligence, and you deal with people that you can see they're paying for their mistakes, and I know that just by you doing what you're doing, you have the ability to help every person that comes to you to help them through this level as Terrans. So how do you see with us, how can we help you and you help the world, so to speak? Could you tell us?
Yes. You know, it's an ongoing thing every day, and like I said, in 2019, it started with, you know, realizing the spiritual awakening. I kept seeing crows. I mean, thousands of crows following me in downtown Sacramento here. And day after day, after week, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm having a spiritual awakening. And then after I said that out loud, it was like, oh, okay. If I saw one after that, it was whatever. But, you know, I know I've always been a healer of some sort because people are generally drawn to me, you know, to help them, or they'll tell me intimate things, even things I don't want to hear. And I'm like, why are they so, you know, worried about me or asking me what I'm doing? And, you know, I want to close my office door and just be left alone. And then I realized, well, that's not working out. I do help, you know, victims of crime in my job. So, you know, I do that even if my door is closed. But then I also realized, you know, in order to open my physical door, I need to open my spiritual door, and so to speak. And so I started doing, you know, tarot readings, got some oracle cards. I just did that on Facebook the last year or two, set up my own little website, and started doing intuitives on people just to get my psychic muscles going, because I'm trying to determine, you know, what exactly are my, you know, spiritual gifts, how can I use them to help people. Yes, I help people in my job. However, yeah, you know, I don't know if it's the Native American side, the 1/3 Native American, or if it's the Scottish, you know, Norwegian side, but something in me wants to do spiritual work. And so, you know, I can only watch so many webinars, and so I just started doing it myself, and intuitively will look at people's picture and pick up a lot of clear audience. So my mom is a full-blown medium. I'm not like her in that way, but I'm very clairaudient. Clairvoyance is strengthening over time. So I've heard the word starseed, meaning that you're an alien that incarnated in the Earth at this time, or Terra, if you want to say, or Gaia. And it actually instantly I knew that what Gaia meant. I didn't have to go Google it. I'm like, that's Mother Earth, you know. Because my husband said, what's Gaia? I never heard of that. And I said, that's the Earth. You know, she's a living being. And I just knew that, you know, something like that. And so now I started doing spiritual healings on people, and, you know, people are telling me that it's helping. And I realized I told myself, I know they're healing themselves, but I feel like I'm kind of like a mover of energy. No, I don't do tones or anything, but it's more of like a counseling one-on-one, like on a Zoom thing, especially now with, you know, everyone pretty much staying at home the last year or two. So I'm just trying to develop the healer side, because I feel like just doing a reading is more of like a surface thing, although it gives people a lot of insight that they might not already know about themselves, or it might help them confirm. But I feel like a spiritual healing goes deeper than that, if that makes sense. And, you know, since you all are more experienced practitioners, maybe you can help me with some of that and determine, you know, how I can use my abilities to help people more spiritually, you know. So I hope that helps.
Certainly, it lets us know where you're coming from for a large degree, and you know, that's the funny thing. We all are coordinated in spiritual work. We are all coordinated in healing. We are all coordinated in spreading the news, spreading the message. You know, it's a time that no one is allowed to sit on the fence anymore. You have to decide whether you're going to remain in 3D or whether you're going to transit with Gaia or Mother Earth into 5D and beyond. So, you know, that's kind of a deep and a metaphorical subject matter, simply because the 5D Earth is already wrapped around us currently, even though we may not be completely aware of it. However, it also generates into our lives a great many synchronicities, such as meeting like-minded people or being drawn to radio shows and all this kind of thing. But the frequency and the vibration, which, of course, Marcy is very, very pronouncedly aware of, since, you know, she's been doing toning for ever so long and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, healing, like you said, basically a person has to determine for themselves how they heal inside, and they themselves have to do the inner work that supports the healing. So, yes, as a healer, you can provide to them all kinds of services, whether it be counseling, whether it be chakra clearing, whether it be balancing and centering and grounding, and all of this, and chakra alignments, and all of this kind of thing. But they're only going to take as much effect as the person is willing to welcome them inside themselves. And, of course, the ultimate path, of course, is they themselves must not only greet it, but then in turn begin to make use of it. So healing is a very instrumental thing, but in actuality, you could say that we, as a race, kind of push each other forward. In other words, we come and we greet each other, and we meet at specific dates and times or specific epochs in our particular lives or what have you, and we join together in mind and heart and spirit, and therefore we actually push each other forward in whatever means we have come together to do so with, you could say, in a manner of speaking. Because if you look at it from the grandiose scale, then of course we are all reflections to each other, because we're all one race and we are all share one unique consciousness as that race. And yet at the same time, we're also all uniquely individual. And of course, we all have our individual paths, our individual missions, and individual reasons we're here. So it's ever so wonderful, you know, to like-minded people come and join us. And we sincerely appreciate your presence, Marcy, and your presence, Laura, even if you are a short-timer as far as being able to add to the situation. But, I mean, you've been most elicitous in regards to where you're coming from, what you're experiencing, and where you hope to be in the upcoming future, you know? All right, somebody say something. Hello?
I have a question for you, Richard. Are you picking up any kind of specific spiritual ability or something that maybe I'm not aware of or I should focus more on from me?
well, this is going to sound kind of bizarre because normally I don't do readings live on the radio, and especially on Wednesdays. But you have an Aztec elder standing behind you, and they're telling you that they're trying to assist you in realizing that in a past life you were an Aztec princess, and during this royal role or whatever, you actually healed people by touch. It was like, the sick and the ailing or whatever in that particular community were brought to you, and they called you the princess with the golden touch, because basically you would lay hands on them and they would be instantly healed. Sort of like Christ, but I mean, well before, I don't know. I'm actually dumbfounded as to exactly how long or how extensive the Aztec and the Incan societies go back, because naturally here we're talking about South America in comparison to, say, Christ and that over in Israel and all that Middle Eastern continent or the parts of Africa and so forth. But I would imagine that they've been quite ancient, simply because for a good while there the Aztecs were sharing with us their calendar, and of course the calendar was predicting that mankind would cease to exist. And a lot of people were panicked by it at first, only that they realized that it wasn't that they were going to cease to exist, rather they were going to cease to exist as they had been before, and would be entering an age of such grandiose change that they would not recognize themselves in reflection. So, yes, you have an inner ability to heal, you also have an inner ability to prophesy, and you also have an inner ability to relate spiritually in an energetic form. I hope that helps.
That helps greatly. Thank you so much, Richard. That confirms a lot, but you described it in a very beautiful picture that I couldn't see myself, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? Do you mind? Laura?
Go ahead. I think I have about 5 more minutes or so.
All right. I personally pick up on you with a very clear resonance, meaning that you are a speaker in this reality, much more so than many people. But I get you're very good at being clear and focused, which is really a gift. And so you may find yourself being pulled, into clairaudience and clairvoyance. But I'm getting that you're also very good at helping people get organized. And that is a gift I wished I had. I'm like a number 3 on that list. I'm not a 2 or a 1. I wouldn't put myself, or if you want to say 10, I'm not a 10, I'm a 7. But if we could get you to be a participant with your spiritual gifts, I'd like to help you and know your domain and all of that, because I help entrepreneurs as well. And I've got a psychic network club too you may be interested in. But I heard you had the tarot cards, so would you be interested in helping maybe a monthly journal we can put out there for extraterrestrial soul growth? Or I've got all kind of domain names. I've just got to decide which ones I want to put the money into to market forward. And this has been my legacy, so to speak, because I came after the .com. I didn't know what the .com meant. I was out driving a big truck and doing all kind of, or in the government or out of country or something. But I really need some direction. I feel like a boy. And
you faded away a wee bit there. TJ, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, well, you faded away, or seemed to fade away there, conversation for a bit.
I'm sorry. Okay, Laura, I was just saying that your voice is very clear and focused. And how would you feel in a leadership position with us in a journal, just helping, like as a editor, or just helping monthly, just helping us get organized? Right now there's just 2 you hear, Marcy, me, Richard, and now you. And I'm just asking the universe to provide people and in hope they tell me why they came to our group. So I'm looking, I know you're in your spiritual growth, but I would love to see your name linked with ours on a monthly magazine or e-letter or something. How do you feel about that?
Well, I appreciate the invitation. My time being a full-time working mother of a 3-year-old and all that, it's I do a lot of my work at nighttime on the phone. I'm a night owl.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, so I do get some stuff done, extracurricular other than regular, work on my work computer. So I can help some. I've always had an interest in writing. Recently I started doing kind of like automatic journaling just for my own personal spiritual stuff. And as a former auditor, I'm really good at editing and organizing, ex-military as well.
What branch? What branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I just joined to, get my college paid for and all that. Daughter of an immigrant. Although my dad went to college, he's from Mexico, which is surprising. He became an accountant in the 70s, which wasn't very common for someone where he's from back then. But so I just kind of found my own way. And
my father was an accountant. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And I went into law enforcement too, and same thing. But that's amazing. We've got similar backgrounds, but all of us do. We all have something that is crossing over. Well, I'm really good at getting things organized and up on the website so people can see it, like your domains and setting up the WordPress and the whatever we need, But then my thing is I want people to offer their level, maybe you could say like creative writing or automatic writing, because I really believe the Ascension Age is about our direct connection. And then how, like Richard said, how we all assist each other. We all do something different, but we can explain. Like Marcy could write her ideas or do, add some history, like she keeps telling people, this is how we use temples. And the sound and the toning has always been around and part of the healing. And, the extraterrestrials was one of the things they taught, on the planet. So we're just trying to hurry up and catch up with the future by getting the people that we can connect to each other to make something where people feel like they can go to and get more assistance. Of course, we're offering Creative Commons and open source out there, but, I would love to get to know you better and see how you grow and, give it some time and see how you fit in, because everybody can help each other. And you said you have a website. Would you like to mention it for your tarot readings or whatever else that is that you're offering? The domain, I'll write it down.
Yes. I don't have a direct website. I just use Facebook. But the name of it is Aztec Indigo Moon, 3 words, Shaman Healing.
Aztec Indigo Moon?
Yes, Aztec Indigo Moon, Shaman Healing.
Okay. And that's your Facebook?
Yes, that's my Facebook. And I do readings, and I also do spiritual healings now. I'm working on growing that side of it. Wonderful.
So you're well on your way then in cyberspace culture then, keeping the internet and social media alive, which is, very important. And hopefully your thread of your truth will line up with ours and we can make a whole new quilt, which I've worked with a lot of different Indian cultures. I've had some in myself and some of my past lives in that. So I guess I'm still doing the same thing I've always done. I guess once maybe I didn't finish something in the past life, or what a lot of people tell you, some of the things you wanted to get done, you come back and do again. And others feel like they just have to. And then others feel like they come back as bodhisattvas and won't go to the next level until all their people, which I guess is all the Terrans, 7.8 billion or something, all go together, which is just it's not impossible, But can you imagine that you had touched that many people to think just like you to raise consciousness? But, you know, people have been saying in psychics and remote viewing for that, well, at least since I've been on the planet, about fifth dimension. You know, we've been talking about Aquarius and the age of Aquarius and how we all work together from the 60s forward. And now we're going into a whole new change with the Ascension Age. And you, Marcy, and Richard, and me, let's see, now that's 4 counting me. So that's, like I said, that's four pillars together, 4 legs to form a table. What do they call in Mexican out there those, I'm getting over there where Marcy lives. Marcy, you know, it's like red, it's the rock, they have a name for it. Mustafa is one of the older, a tabletop. We need a tabletop platform called.
Actually, this is Laura. I just wanted to say goodbye to you all. I'm going to have to leave right now and go take care of the little one, but I really enjoyed my time talking to you, and I'm going to keep on listening as a third party.
Okay, Laura, thank you so much. You've really been a big help, more than you realize. Thank you. You made my day. Thank you so much.
Oh, good to hear that. Take care, Richard, Marcy, and Miss Teresa. Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Many blessings.
Marcy, what is that called where you live? Those, like over in Sedona? Because we help Sedona a lot, making sure we try to mention them. What are those called? You know, the rock on top of the plateaus. What are those called? Any idea?
Marcy, you there?
What's going on? It's so strange. Marcy, did you blow us out again doing your tones?
Could be. But Marcy's in Reno now. You do remember that. So,
yeah.
But I mean...
she's near Sedona.
Well, yeah. Sort of, kind of. I mean, Reno's above California, so, I mean, you know, Reno, Nevada.
We have maybe she's called in on another number. I see 2 of them. Marcy, can you hear me now?
I've been hearing you the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we couldn't hear you. Strange. I thought I was asking Richard, what'd you do, blow us out?
Well, sometimes when they come in, the frequency does change, and that usually has to do with Richard, and I go through this all the time. We lose sound, we blow circuits, we have to start all over, we'll fade in and out, and that's what happened when I was talking to Shauna today. She was somewhat hearing me, somewhat not. A friend of mine that's a shaman explained it really well. You know, it's like I had some neighbors next door, or I lived next door to a funeral home, and all of a sudden this car appeared where I was pulling to the driveway, and I said, why didn't they see me? Because it was right next door. They said, you are in a different vibration. Like when I got in my car wreck, I had a bright yellow car, it was daytime, I didn't see the car coming, so I think sometimes we fade in and out into different dimensions where people won't hear us, we won't see us, things will appear, things will disappear. So, you know, it's a normal thing. I'm planning on getting a new phone. Maybe that might help because I might have blown the circuits of this phone. But I wanted to explain about the Quetzalcoatl. That actually is Christ was reincarnated as Quetzalcoatl. So it almost like the native ties in with the whole, ironically, Christianity, because Christ was, Shauna did a reading on me on that today, which was really good, and she was talking about like the medicine wheel, the inner earth, all that stuff, a balance, power. So it was a really powerful reading that we both went through a transformation or initiation with. And I also wanted to give, as far as you were talking about more with organizations, I'm going through a lawsuit with my sister. She's been helping me professionally write the letter. Whether Richard knows it. Well, we don't know. This is a long story. Richard knows. But she did help me on writing the letter to the judge because she does fraud. But, you know, she's
got a lot of skills. Well, there's another
She is.
775 on here. Is that 762? Did you ask somebody to come on the show?
No.
There's another 775.
You want to check that number?
Yeah, who?
No, I don't know.
Okay, somebody else calling in from 775, 762. Are you just listening?
Oh, hi. Thank you. I would love to ask a question, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mentioned before that I purchased very expensive hearing aids at the end of last year. New style. They didn't work out. Haven't been able to go down to the office because of COVID. I'm high risk. So I contacted the insurance company, I think about 7 weeks ago, and they've kept me waiting. And finally, Melanie, who says she's an advocate, says that they contacted the manufacturer, Oticon, and they said, no, I will not be able to exchange. And also the dispensing shop, Diane, quoted some information, which fed the fire. Basically, I kept it professional and polite, and I asked her to send me all the notations from my file, and she said she would by Friday. So I did cordially invite her that if she discovered another option or anything, to please call me back, and I would treat her with dignity and respect like I had been doing. So will Melanie contact me again? I would suggest that maybe I could buy the style that I used to wear at my cost, but at a ridiculously low price. Would that be an option?
I would do that and even get you an attorney on the other thing. But let me ask Richard. I know that this lady's had trouble with her hearing aid, but she seems to be very loyal to our group. And we've got to come up with something for her on her hearing aids. Is there anything we can do with put that into our prayer list for people that can't hear in a larger, but she wants just individual assistance on her knowingness. But can you put her on your prayer list? She can hear you. I've got her muted now.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do that. She probably also needs to contact the National Hearing Disabled Individuals nationwide and strike up an advocate there that would also join in her plea with this fabricator of her hearing aids and all that kind of thing. And that would also assist her in lots of different ways. Because
lobbying for hearing impairment.
There you go. And they
lobbying for hearing impairment. Mm-hmm.
They may in turn have resources that we don't know off our top of our heads. You know what I'm saying? They may have resources to acquire hearing aids at a very specially low price and so on and so forth, because unfortunately there are millions of people affected by this.
Yeah, so we suggest just, she wanted to know direct about individuals, but globally, in coming down to the planet, that needs to be addressed for the hearing impaired, and I'm sure she is the voice and an advocate for that. So, ma'am, just keep doing what you're doing, and also what Richard said. You need to make sure that you get with the right people at the .gov and then the hearing impaired, and make sure you have an advocate. You live over there in Nevada, Arizona, or she's got a 775 number, Marcy, and she always seems to be attached.
Reno. I live in Reno.
Oh, that's Reno?
That's my area.
That
is in Reno.
I actually live in Sacramento, California.
That's close,
okay.
Though, right?
Laura, the one that you was just on, she's in Folsom. She lives near you.
Yeah, Laura.
She's off. Yeah.
So
she's
Laura
an advocate for fraud. What?
Oh my goodness, she's an advocate in California for fraud right there. The lady you were just listening to, Laura, that's her specialty. She's very good at helping people. Yeah. So you.
Oh my gosh.
That's her job.
If Laura happens to contact you guys, would you give her my phone number and would you do that for me?
Sure.
Marcy, you could add us on. What?
Yeah, go ahead, Marcy. Tell her.
You could Facebook me. I'm connected with her. She's busy, but I can ask her, or hopefully that we'll all interconnect and all build up together, because I'm sure she'd like it that you're in Sacramento, because she lives near there anyway. That's what I'm trying to do, is build everybody together. You could Facebook me under Marcy Kosich or Marcia McLean, or you can LinkedIn me, or anybody can, to add
well,
more to.
Maybe this is not by accident that I called you all today.
Right. Now, the
my
lady...
guys told me to get on. Yeah, my guys told me to get on today. Sometimes I'm meant to do other stuff. Today it was kind of like go. So it's kind of like they're in charge.
So,
I don't...
Yeah, that email that you've got. This lady has been working very diligently on an email, so you need to email that. Now, Laura is Aztec Indigo Moon Shaman Healing on Facebook. If you want to go look her up and do your own research, that's Laura Leon. And she didn't mind being public today.
All right. Well, I don't know if Laura's is still listening, but I give your show complete permission for you to give her my phone number.
All right, I'll email it to her. I've got her email. I'll email her.
God bless you.
Give me your give me your name.
To an attorney, and he said the difficult part is that I was outside the window of returning just slightly, and I said, well, COVID interfered. I'm at high risk, and I couldn't go down there, and also I thought about contacting the Department of Consumer Affairs. Without an attorney representing me, I don't know what I can do. But I've worked in healthcare, and I've been an advocate, and I feel like something just doesn't seem right. I think there's something I need to know that I don't know.
What's your name?
My name is Wendy, Wendy.
I do like home care, and I work with mentally challenged also, so I understand.
Thank you. And this woman who calls herself an advocate, through the conversation, I had to clarify for her. She would state stuff, and I would say, no, excuse me, that is not correct. This is what happened. And she felt that I had been dispensed a couple of other pairs, and I said, no. There was an office in February that was ready to dispense, but then COVID hit, and they sent them back to the manufacturer, and then they were no longer doing business with this insurance company. So I had to clarify, and I did it in a very respectful, professional manner, working on the phone. I know you don't get anywhere by becoming escalated, so I kept it professional and polite. And somewhat upset, never ever use bad language, but she mentioned Diane, the dispensing office. I was supposed to have an appointment to remotely tune my hearing aids. And when Diane called, I mentioned I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't looking forward to her seeing me. Well, of course, somebody has to see you, but I only mentioned that, maybe out of vanity. And I said, Diane is the one who canceled the appointment because on her side, she could not connect remotely. She had computer system issues. So by Diane being creative and saying, well, Wendy didn't want to be seen, that kind of sets the stage that I wasn't being cooperative. That's far from it. And I am going to put into writing, in a very careful way, that this matter is not resolved, and that I requested 3 times to do a conference call with Diane to clarify that I never, ever canceled that appointment. Diane canceled it. So that did upset me somewhat, because I feel like Diane, by saying it the way she did, suggested that I wasn't going to cooperate, and that was outrageous.
Well, Wendy, I believe that you've got a nice case, but at the same time, like you said, COVID-19, and a lot of our governments, and especially in the states, are really backed up, especially due to COVID-19 and everything that we've done inside. But I do believe if you could just send your email to, send it to me. I'll give you mine, and I'll get involved. But mine's TJ Morris Agency. send it to me at tjmorrisagency@gmail.com, and just put your on or about date. Now, everybody understands other humans' perceptions and filters, but it's very seldom you can get somebody to help you raise your flag. But you have been so persistent in this calling. This is your third time we've heard your story, and it has progressed, but you're still getting no results. But I would suggest you get something that you can use, of course, but at the same time, let's work on this, because if it's happening to you, it's happening to a lot of people, especially a lot of insurance companies and banking. They're sort of dropping the ball. No offense. It's just we've had so many different,
I paid
extreme problems.
$4,500. $4,500.
Wow, that's a lot. So that's a small claims, but I imagine you would win it if you went to court because of the COVID-19, but let's see if we can't get that handled. You've tried your best, but you just need a definite mediator.
So is it TJMARSH?
MORRIS. MORRIS. Yeah, I don't like to, get involved in people's individual lives because we've got so much work, but because you've been so persistent with my radio company here, and this is the third time I've heard your story. But it has progressed, and you do have names and dates, and because of COVID-19, and I've heard this on this planet from so many different people in this reality that, I don't mind because, like Marcy said, she showed up today, and then Laura showed up. So maybe this is one of the things that sounds funny, but maybe it'll affect your case. You know how there'll be one person that can affect the whole world by one case, one incident. So let's see if we can make the world change.
So is it tjmorris@gmail.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Agency.
I've got a
TJ Morris Agency at gmail.com.
Agency@gmail.com.
gmail.com, right.
Sorry about
now,
that.
I want you also to realize, Wendy, okay, when you get more calm, all right, and more centered than you are right now, because naturally this is very upsetting to you. I can read your emotional energy waves coming across, and I'm not saying anything negative, because naturally we all have the right to express, especially in matters that concern us very gravely, especially when we feel that we have been unjustly wronged, or we're just not being heard properly, and a major issue to our lives is not being addressed by the right people. All right. I want you to ground, and I want you to center. I want you to take a bath. I want you to listen to some quiet music, or music that enlivens you in some way, that makes you happy or joyful, all right? And if you happen to have a red or a pink candle around, I want you to burn the candle, and as you burn the candle, you focus and you say, okay, God, universe, higher source, creator of all of us, or whatever, specific address you give to deity yourself personally, I want you to use that phrase, and I say, look, I've done all that I can. Kindly, I ask you humbly, with the genuineness of my heart, to reach out unto me and provide me the means to reconcile this issue. And then you light the candle. And know and release it completely from your heart, saying that it is now taken care of. Okay?
Okay. Yes. Oh, I'm very wise. I've been an advocate, and I know to keep it professional and polite, and I have, and I shall continue.
Wendy, Marcy's trying to talk to you.
Thank you.
The angels want to do a tone, which will help open up your energy to help them work with you. Kind of like the metaphor when I do my tones, it's like we're like a mountain. They decide who they're going to do these healings to. I'm just the conduit. But it's kind of like a metaphor of like a mountain, and what I do with the tones is I blast open the mountain so they're able to come in through. That's the way I kind of look at this metaphor when I do this. Okay, and this one, usually I don't get the ones, and Richard usually picks up, but I'm getting Archangel Raphael on this, and
I get
he's around me a lot. way that feel, Lindsay? Lindsay?
Hey, could you hear that?
No, I'm right here. I'm sorry.
Can you hear
that?
Like
did you hear that? How do you feel after that?
I feel less stressed.
Good, because that's what it does. Is when I do my tone, it gets the serotonin. I also have on my YouTube under Marcy Cottage, I have my tones, which gets people relaxed. It helps them go to sleep, and it gets them out of the left side of the brain, which is where we have the anxiety. So this gets us more calmer. So a lot of people, they get addicted to the tones because, like you said, you're relaxed. You also have Buddha coming in, so you've got like a whole entourage of them.
Basically, I feel the need to be empowered and healing the situation. So I will approach it in that manner. Thank you.
Yeah, just stay in your center. What happens is we could take any situation, negative or positive, because I had to learn to de-stress. That's what my book is about learning to live at peace among the chaos. And we learn to be in our center, and we learn to be calm. When we're calm, then we get visions, we get calmness. Meditate, go into water. They can hear you more when you're in water because you're in the most relaxed state. And just get into that energy. When you're stressed out, they can't help you. So you've got to meditate at least 10 minutes with music without any words. Draw, paint, anything to do with the right side of the brain. That's just how they contact you. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you very much to everybody.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to getting your email, Wendy.
Thank you very much. I shall do so.
Thank you. Hopefully we can help you get that, as you said, taken care of as a advocate and a mediator. Thank you for your attention, Wendy. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Richard, we still got an hour left, 52 minutes. So what would you like to speak about?
Well, I don't know. You opened the door so wide for today. Terrans, of course, naturally, I perceive myself as a celestial being. So, yes, I am not from this planet, though I have actually walked upon this planet probably thousands of times. So I have never really considered myself an earther per se, rather as a celestial being that is here to help mankind to facilitate whatever kind of healing and advancement that I can do so. Now, of course, that is on my highest range. I mean, that's way out there somewhere. But anyway,
let's do a blanket disclaimer that when people are listening to our show wherever they are in the world, and believe me, folks, I can tell we get them from all over. We get half of our listening audiences in China. I haven't figured that out. I guess they have interpreters or something, but over half. But we should say that we understand we are spiritual beings having a physical existence for our learning, our forethought, or ideas, or curiosity, or all of the above, and imaginations, because we're here growing and learning. And so our spiritual growth, can we have that blanket statement, Marcy and Richard, where we know if you come to this show, we're going to take for granted that you already know you're a spiritual being, but we're trying to help the future of Terrans as well, all of us in bodies, but it could be all Richard, explain what you just said, because your perception, I agree with you, but it sounds so off the wall to John Q. Public. We don't want to say moguls, but the people that maybe don't have the feeling, or they're agnostics or atheists, or they don't know what it's like to be connected to their higher self or their source. And Marcy, you can help too, because we need to get it straight that we accept you as a soul and a spirit and going back, and you have shards from Incarnations. But this is, I guess you could say, our philosophy. I don't know, because I really stepped into it now. But, Richard, you know what I'm saying, because I agree with what you said. But we're helping people with their physical being while they're spiritual beings. Go ahead.
That's one of my favorite sayings. I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. I am not a physical being chasing after spirituality or a spiritual experience. And it just equates and implies that, you know, during the ascension process, during the awakening of all mankind, you come to a realization that first and foremost, there is a power outside of you and beyond your kin, per se, or beyond your understanding. And then you feel at some, you know, there are hints that are given you in life, whether they be aha moments through a book, whether they be aha moments in a movie, whether they be aha moments in a conversation shared with friends, or even aha moments that you have through listening to this radio program. The fact of the matter is you suddenly get this glimpse. It's like you say, oh, well, there's actually more to me than what I had consciously considered to be part of me. And that kind of opens the door between your spiritual self and your earthly self and expands your conscious awareness from just your conscious everyday self that is dealing with your physicality that surrounds you as well as your physical body in which you dwell, all right? It expands it outwardly, and all of a sudden you begin having spiritual perceptions of saying, oh, well, gee, yes, I am more than just this physical being. I am more than just this conscious self that, you know, does a day-to-day job or takes care of kids or whatever your day-to-day routine may be, or if you juggle all kinds of things during your day. I mean, you may wear 100 hats in a day's time, but the absolute perfected truth is that in actuality, we are conscious beings of energetic light. And I guess that's the best way and the best base note to use in reference to understanding ourselves as spiritual beings. Now, yes, that's a little bit out there too, but that at the same time, that gives credence to the understanding that, you see, you're not just this physical body. You're not just your conscious awareness. You're not just your mind. You're not just all of these parts physically that make up the you. You're not just your personality. That, in fact, your personality roars way up there, okay, to wherever your spirit happens to reside, and that there is an actual tunnel of communication, you could say, between your spiritual essence, your higher self, and your physical self. And this flow of consciousness, slowly but surely, it starts like a small, minuscule leak in a dam. And eventually, of course, the water pressure builds and builds and builds until eventually the hole in the dam just explodes, and the whole circumference of the dam knocks down, and the water trap behind it comes forward. Well, that's like an awakening, and it's an ascension. It's an expansion of your awareness that all of a sudden you feel gratified. You feel overjoyed because it's like you've been hiding this truth from yourself for so long that all of a sudden when it comes forward, you have this light that dwells within you, and you recognize that light dwells within you. And that light is an inner peace and a harmony and a place of spirituality in which you exist in a grander scale rather than just purely on a physical level. There. How's that? KJ?
That's good. So, Marcy, you want to add on this since you came? Are you able to stay the rest of the time, Marcy? I didn't know today. Can you hear me, Marcy?
Marcy, are you there?
I can.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, Marcy, thank you for your toning. But when did you realize you were a spirit having a physical Terran relationship for the sake of this radio show? Or did you come in all-knowing and all-seeing like Sir Richard here?
Well, that's why I wrote my book, because it's like, how did you learn to become a medium? It's been a process. It's been a process of, I think, seeing my first spirit, my aunt contacted me when I was like 18, getting the deja vu, taking a spur-of-the-moment trip where there were like 5 deja vus from 2 gypsies in Florida. And then my roommate and I decided to move. And then I had another deja vu where I ended up getting a job as an au pair work where they were all spiritual. and then she took me to a medium, and I asked, what do I do? And they do psychokinesis. And I said, what's that? And they said, moving and clearing energy. So that's when I was like about 21, 22, and it's been this journey. Every time I try to go one way, they send me another way. So it's been like meeting Richard, meeting you. I kind of call it the cosmic chessboard. We think we're going one way, but they have an overall view of where we're going. Like what happened to Lindsay, or Laura, and I always kept on joking around saying that if only one person buys the book, it's worth it. And Laura bought it, and she's now all part of, this family and energy and all the other stuff that's going on. Now it's like as I get clearer and clearer, as when Shauna did my reading today, she said, because I used to get like visions of like black crosses, which is kind of like our authentic self. I think it's horizontal, is vertical, and our personality is horizontal. And so a lot of times we're out of alignment. And I was telling Shauna about how I've been working for months or years on seeing these black crosses, not religious, but the T out of alignment thing. But they started being like a circle. And she goes, oh, you mean the medicine wheel? I said, okay, then that makes sense. It's like the circle with the cross inside, which is like wholeness, full circle. And so her reading was like really powerful on completion, knowing everything, seeing everything, being part of the inner earth, that type of thing. So it's been a journey. I work on myself every day, and it's just cleansing. And if I get trigger points, I see what the trigger is and I release it. And that's why it's just the book I wrote, which is Richard is in it, Sean is in it, my other friends are on it, because we have worked on this journey together. We have supported each other. We have loved each other. And now the people that I'm interconnected with, they're now getting interconnected with. And it's so fun to watch everybody grow on this journey on so many levels. And each dimension that we have, each frequency. So I woke up with the name multidimensional healer about a year and a half ago. And each dimension, which is a level of consciousness, that's what dimension is. Each dimension has its frequency. So, like, I will hear really high pitch. That may be, 10th dimension. Richard and I hear things, see things, feel things. We get on these intense conversations, healings, exchanges, whatever you want to call it, almost like 3-4 times a week, what's going on with us. So it's not a simple answer. It's just being authentic, and that's basic line, being who we are, being what we are. The personality is what we appear to people, and that's where it's being, as they said, being inauthentic self.
Okay. Well,
kind of a mouthful?
Yeah. Let me see who this is. Someone's been on what? Network. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi.
Lisa. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I believe in the cosmos, and this is my second time talking to you off in the air. What got my attention was, hi, Mr. Richard.
Hello.
Was what you said about the turbulence. And then the ascension comes. Well, that happened to me because I'm getting clearer on my gift. Can I ask? Are you allowed to say like what galaxy you're from? Are you allowed?
Universally speaking?
Yes, universally. Yeah. What dimension?
Well,
Richard is from? I get Orion.
I actually identify with up to the 6th level, which is Alphaverse, and I haven't crossed over into Omegaverse, but I'm in between there. So the universal levels are higher than the galaxies, but I guess here on the planet, most of the people, because of Star Trek, are Ennead 9. They relate mostly to galaxies, but actually, break it on down, when I first got started, people want me to identify with Pleiades and Orion's belt, because when you start in the White Brotherhood, most of the readings you do in metaphysics and esoterics, and Mrs. Blavatsky, when she was one of the older ladies that was traveling around, I don't know where she got the money, but she got the whole idea of incarnation back on the planet again, Madame Blavatsky. But I like to relate to everybody, because I feel like I'm connected to everybody, because we're all source or God or monad, depending on how you think. But I relate to 6. I'd like to relate to 7, but to me, the 7th level is where you do not return here, because that is the infinite, so close. Now, I've worked with the Xenoverse a lot when I worked with the dark side and learned magic and how to return when you die, and that's Xenoverse universally. But I really do appreciate your question. But I'm here in biological form. I'm carbon-based, even though I'm cyborg and working with AI. But I'm working for this ascension age, so it helps raise consciousness. Richard, I don't know how we want to deal with this, because this is stuff that people, like she said, are you allowed to say that because of your clearances? But Richard and I retired from government. So, Richard, how do we want to handle this for our radio shows, plus our future with our Ascension Age Church for Extraterrestrials with Unconditional Love? Because people are going to be asking us these questions.
I would say that we would base it, on identification factors, okay? So, I mean, if you expand out in consciousness and awareness, then you then become aware that part of your Akashic record, or your soul existence record, or your soul's movie, since the time that you were created up until now, is not purely based on Earth and Earth alone, okay? You have had probably many, many experiences in other galaxies, on other planets, and relating to other intelligent or even extraterrestrial life or alien life, as it's come to be known now, since, in the last maybe 20 years, metaphysics has turned to ufology and the study of UFOs and unidentified flying objects and all this kind of thing. And there has been a great many History Channel movies and a great deal of History Channel series in regards to the etymology and all this, in regards to the universe and its creation and so forth. But as far as individuals are concerned, I mean, I've had lives on Sirius, both the intellectual side and the water planet, because there are twin planets of Sirius. I have also been in the Pleiades, or the Pleiades, however you want to pronounce it. I have also lived lives in Andromeda. I have also been in Orion's belt. I have also been in the Milky Way. I have been in a lot of different places. And we're talking past lives on a physical level. However, my corporeal self, or my physical being, was not earthly per se in the regular form that we have come to, consider mankind as earthers or Terrans, etc. And actually, these were alien beings with alien lives and alien vessels through which they walked and they interacted in their civilizations. Now, I mean, basically you could say that alien civilizations and alien visitors have been around and among mankind for probably over 100,000 years, if not longer, all right? And they have all been here and interacted with us, showing us various modes of technology, sharing with us various modes of science, and all of these kind of things. And so even to the extent you could say that there are star seeds, starting with the indigo rays and the blue rays and coming all the way up to the current rainbow children, all right? And all of these beings may in fact not be Terrans at all, but actually other beings from other galaxies or other universes that have come here to experience not only life, but also to show or reflect their radiance outwards to mankind, so that in turn mankind wakes up and realizes that they're not purely just an Earth or human being, okay? So I'm not sure exactly what you were asking specifically in regards to being able to speak about, but as far as, Teresa or TJ is basically a extraterrestrial ambassador on a cosmic level, okay? And when you start talking cosmos, then of course you're talking all kinds of constellations, galaxies, universes that make up that cosmos. And of course, my dear friend Marcy is also a cosmic ambassador. She just loves to bring people of all different origins, of all different uniqueness together so that in turn they create harmony and they bolster each other. They help each other grow. They help each other succeed. They help each other do all kinds of fascinating things that they didn't even know they were going to do because, it just happens. So I'm not sure. I hope I've answered your question to some degree.
Could you tell us your name?
Permission to ask you?
Permission? Oh, you have another question. But tell us who you are and what, because all I can see is ones. But give us your name and where you're calling from.
Arizona. And
okay.
I
your name?
Yeah, I go by Melissa.
Will
Okay.
you spell Alyssa, right?
Yes.
ALY. Yeah, you have a question.
MELLISA.
Melissa, like the song,
Yeah, Melissa, for some reason, we're having trouble hearing you. It could be because you called in on Skype. Is that what you did?
I'm putting the speaker. Yes, sure. You did answer the question. I'll respect you. Thank you. That's wonderful. I think you might be the Federation to do that. I believe that we're a match. I think I felt it. They were nearby, the Federation. Secondly, yes, I felt it. Secondly, I'd like to know, I like archangels. If when I'm done with my human body, I want to go with the archangels. Are you able to tell me something about my gift, with permission, if I'm allowed to?
If you choose that path, of course you're able to. That's your choice. And as far as archangels, actually, people don't realize that you can change. Rich and I were talking earlier about changeliness, but now you've got to remember that angels and archangels aren't us. They're completely different. We're going to get really deep cosmos, but in the creation that we're referring to, yes, if you have a calling to be an angel, I've met some and I've lived with some. And they don't really like to be known. They're sort of like the Andromedans. A lot of people are walking and talking on the planet Earth, but it depends on their DNA sequencing, like what they identify with. But most of them all can identify while they're here as Terrans, even if they have to have another finger put on in space, or some of them were here during World War II. And so there's all kind of ways to be other beings. But the archangels, they have a job. And, leveling up and working and helping, like Gabriel, Raphael, all the ones we work with. Plus, we work with the ascended masters as well. So that is possible. You have to really let all of yourself be known and identify with all of that. Marcy, help me out here. Now, this is Melissa. And Melissa, how long have you been calling into this show?
I think 1 year, second or third time.
Melissa on Earth Time. Okay. So people that follow us, thank you for your participation. Did you like me on the outside in your reality? What do they call that? On the front side of BTR, there's a screen, and you go and you check the light. Did you do that? Where I can see who you are in this 3D reality?
Yeah, I did see you, and but I like to have respect for everything because I know we're not alone. And a lot of things happen.
Oh, so you're not in where I can see you as far as who follows me? Is that what you're saying?
I don't have the access right now, but I did see your picture. I did see the information.
Oh, okay. Well, it's no big deal. It's something I'm learning to do in the conversation to help those that follow us on social media. That's what they want us to do. Marcy, do you have any information? Because Melissa apparently is growing with us.
Well, what I'm being told is it's like sometimes we're metaphorically going through high school and college. And you're kind of like in the middle of the leap. So what they want to do is they want to do some tones to help you get realigned, because they said you've been stuck for about 5 years. Does that make sense? Is there something that happened about 5 years?
Yes.
So that's what they're telling me. So they're going to come in through me, and they're going to do some. It's kind of like bumps you into college, getting your frequency raised so that they could work with you. It's almost like, they're knocking on the door, but you can't hear them because that veil is closed. That's kind of like the image that they're giving to me. So you've been trying and trying and trying, but it's like the door's locked. You can't hear them. They're going to come in through because I can feel them in my throat. These are the dominants. Sometimes they say who they are. Sometimes they don't. But for some reason, they wanted to say who this was. All right, I'm going to hit some tones. It's like I see them contacting you were an infant and you were crying, either you were scared, but they're really, really tall white beings. And then they're like, now is the time.
Can you
I got to hit a low.
You're kind of blurring, and I have to concentrate 300%. But I didn't understand. Your voice is a little bit blurry.
No, it's okay. It's because when they come through, it changes the radio station. So, and I was told a long time ago my frequency is so high, technology can't keep up with it. So that's what's going on with the voice. Okay? So I'm getting an image of you as a child, and they contact you. I don't know if you were, like, abused a lot, but I'm seeing you 3 or 4 in their car.
Oh, my God. Mentally.
Well, and that's what my book is about, because I was brought up mentally abused, and so I was brought up with shame, guilt, anger, frustration. So my whole book is how I step by step of this journey as to taking my power back, and that's why I like doing these shows. It teaches people to take their power back. But I'm going to hit a low note, and that's going to say, it's like, Richard is always good on my tones. This will hit survival or the lower chakras. We just hit the higher chakras. Now we're going to hit the lower ones. Okay? Yes. All right, that's not, like when I do healings on people, I will see air, earth, air, emotional, earth, tornadoes, water, like canals, the emotional, and then the fire is eventually the kundalini. So you've got like a lot of fear-based energy that has become solid. A lot of time when the energies come in, they'll come in like little droplets, like black diamonds. As we add more and more of these, then it becomes like rivers, and eventually they solidify. Yours has solidified, which is fear, shame, guilt. When we're in love, our energy expands. When our energy is fear, it contracts. So this is getting that black oil river moving that's been stuck for a long, long time. Okay?
Yes.
So on the emotional level, 3 3 inches from your physical body, your body is screaming those screams you weren't allowed to scream before. How are you feeling now? Are you feeling lighter?
I'm feeling much lighter. Way lighter.
Yeah. So I just transmuted. One of the challenges that I got 2 challenge drawings with is Little Gray Cloud. That was my native name, and my friend Shauna did a drawing on it where there's a jaguar on my head, and the jaguar is to transmute the negative energy. So that's why all the stuff that I do, I focus on the tones because I could feel, and people, anybody do my tones show on the radio, it can help them and affect them also. It's not just Melissa. But I'm feeling energy pop and move where your energy has been stuck. Now you're getting movement in you.
That is beautiful because I feel stuck. And what about my brain? Because I feel sometimes like I go in circles.
Well, go listen to my tones on my YouTube channel. I have different ones. People get addicted to them and get into the right side of the brain and it hits the serotonin part of the brain. That's what relaxes you. That's where you'll start feeling emotions, feelings, work through those feelings, allow them and release them.
Okay. That is an honor to do that. The cosmic
energy. Yeah, that's why I love doing what I'm doing. And we're all doing it, we want to help everybody. And this show is very much guided. And like I said, my guide told me to come on today. Last week was kind of crazy. So now things are opening up more.
What about the moon? Richard, what is this full moon? And Melissa, I want you to learn what you can about the waves and the moon goddess, right? But teach us, Richard, what about this moon? A lot has to do with where the planets are. And even though astrology was one of my early lessons, I don't follow it anymore. But I got started in the early 80s with the books and this reality. But Richard, what were you telling us? Some kind of moon or something tonight?
Yeah, it's a super full moon, and actually it's been transpiring now for almost the last 3 days. It actually came to full venue, you could say, on the evening of the 28th. But of course, that's going to vary depending on where you are in the world too, and it even varies where you're at in the United States, for that matter, because the moon projects, just like the sun does. The sun goes east to west. The moon goes west to east in its trajectory. So a super full moon means that basically the moon is actually closer in its rotation to the Earth than normal. So therefore the moon actually looks larger and can be seen more readily by the human eye or through telescopes and so on and so forth. Now, of course, there's a whole big old, my goodness, there's so many goddesses and so many traditions involving the moon. It's not funny. But, you have Diana that, is British, and you have Artemis that's also British. Okay, Diana is a goddess of love. She's a goddess of virtue. Artemis is a huntress, and she's very protective of her followers. Then you have, there's so many female divinities or divine goddesses that it's not funny. I could spend 5 hours just mentioning them all. But basically the concept is this, all right? You have to understand that mankind for the last, maybe 4,000 years, roughly speaking, has been in a male-dominated matrix, all right? In the fact being that the male hierarchy has basically held sway in regards to organizing things and directing things energetically, financially, in the creation of laws and everything else, almost to an entire exclusion of the feminine power, okay, or the feminine energy and the feminine goddess and so on and so forth has only been allowed in on a minute basis. I mean, yes, we have Mother Mary, the mother of Jesus, therefore the mother of God. We have the Virgin of Guadalupe. We have a lot of different auspices or translations of the Virgin Mary, all right? And she basically is a representation of what you would call the female goddess or I mean, in my perspective of things, I look at basically us having a male and a female god and goddess that are the creators of our physical forms, our emotional, mental, and spiritual selves to a certain extent. And then, of course, they are the children of the creator of all. And the creator of all basically has no embodiment. It is pure consciousness, and it is absolutely, how else could you be omnipresent and omniscient and everything else? How could you know everything? How could you be everywhere? How could you see everything if, in fact, you had to take some kind of form? So basically, in an expression towards our created selves on a spiritual level, in some ways, because naturally I have to identify that you have to recognize the duality, of course, is the Earth reality, okay? There are many other planets out there that do not have a duality system. Matter of fact, they are what you would call an omniconscious system, where basically there is no differentiation between genders, with one being higher than the other or one being more important than the other or anything of this kind. But basically, other than the Catholic Church and its, votive evenings and days unto Mary and things of that nature in celebration, the goddess festivals themselves have what you would be called back-turned or rely and are the festivals are celebrated in the pagan community, and of course the pagan community unto the church folk are all heretics because they don't believe in God the same way that the church does, so therefore they were heretics. They were they're non-believers. But there are a great many societies out there. There are a great many temples out there that are all honorary, done in honor to the goddess. And I mean, going back historically, of course, there were a great many seers and a great many prophetesses that basically could speak or align themselves directly to the goddess, and the word of the goddess would actually prevail upon people's lives and directly change those people's lives. Now, you have to understand that, of course, under yin and yang, for example, all right, the masculine and the feminine natures, all right, the feminine nature is giving, charitable, serene, joyful, happy, and very much full of mercy and compassion. The masculine energy is very domineering, it is very active, and so on and so forth. So I kind of look at it like this, that God, the all-knowing and all-seeing, per se, kind of takes a step back because he has all this masculine energy and all this masculine power, and he basically says, well, I don't really understand, or maybe perhaps I don't have the patience to deal with mankind to a certain degree, so I'm going to give things over to my loving wife, or my other, the goddess of all creation, and basically I'm going to give her the reins so that in turn, her mercy and her compassion can act in the lives of mankind so that mankind begins to awaken and begins to treat each other with more love. And so the moon is that aspect. It's the intuitive self, it's the creative self, it is the goddess self that dwells within us all, because of course, if you look at this from a medical perspective, it is factual in the fact that there are male and female hormones in all persons, regardless of masculine gender or female gender on the outward surface. And there are all kinds of hormones running among us that are of both genders, you could say. We also have, the left brain, which is very, and I hope I don't get this wrong because sometimes I intermix the two of them. But anyway, I believe it might be the left brain that is more intuitive and creative, and the right brain that is more thoughtful and more analytical, per se. Now, I could have them reversed. I mean, sometimes my mind wanders, especially when I start talking about goddesses and the likes of that. But anyway, that's where things are at in regards to the moon. It is basically our creative, intuitive side. And when a full moon, of course, comes about, when a full moon comes about, it is basically one in which it brings all kinds of things emotionally to the surface. So if you have been pondering anything emotionally, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, the moon is going to heighten that sensation and focus those emotions more extravagantly to the surface than would normally occur. And that's why they say, on a full moon, of course, werewolves come about. They like to howl at the moon. And, of course, all kinds of changelings come out. And, of course, the Fae are very protective of the vibrations of the moon. And all these kind of magical folk come forward. And then, in turn, in addition to that, of course, even our seas are affected in the fact that the tides are changed. What was high tide is now low tide, and what was low tide is now high tide. All these kind of things. And, of course, there's all kinds of romantic novels and romantic theories and stories about the fullness of the moon. And all these kind of different things. Anyway, so that's my detailed noting on the moon and how it represents the goddess and all intertwined therein, at least to some degree.
Thank you. It's the waning gibbous today. The full moon was on the 28th. This is the 31st, but my guardian angel today is William. So, folks, William, I appreciate you joining me. So if you'd like to know how that's done, just go to cabinet.william.angel.com and pick a card, because that's his website. So thank you, William, for today's moon phase with Richard T. Knight, giving the virtual expression of who we are and why we are about the moon. Richard, you do a pretty good job on just about any subject. Let me ask, Melissa, you got any more questions that are like universally?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Please. Hi, Richard. Thank you. It's an honor. I can feel it. This cosmic energy. I'm not doing anything, but I tend to experience a lot of I'm gonna say, I don't know if it's a out of order sequence, or maybe just because my energy is getting higher. I like negativity. Sometimes I have people hate me for no apparent reason. Even just like they just look at me and they hate me.
It's not about you. Remember, don't take everything personally. It's always not about you, but you're mirroring back to them. So that's a hard lesson to learn, is to accept your face. And accepting your face is one of the hardest lessons as a Terran that people will learn. And that's go look in the mirror and then do your best. If you can't see your soul, spirit self, but you feel it, go to a mirror and look over your shoulder. It's one of the first lessons my grandmother taught me. And then so in Hawaii, they gave lessons on looking over your shoulder to see your spirit guides and your angels. So working with angels is a lot of fun, especially if you can use some of the most ancient of tools is scrying and looking in mirrors, and looking in a mirror, looking in a mirror. So you were wanting to do some angel work, so you may want to get to ears. So that's a clue for you, is to accept your face and learn how to use Aaron. You can do errands for the angels. But if you're going to be in service to others, Melissa, don't worry about what other people think when they look at you. Always look at them with a smile. So don't, here's something they say on the planet among people is you don't have to accept everything around you. They call it overthinking. You're overthinking the process. But always remember that people are just a part of you. So just smile, Melissa. When they look at you, open your heart chakra, meaning your heart, whatever makes you feel good, little puppy rabbits or puppy dogs or kittens. I'm just saying those things because maybe it's chocolates for you. But whatever opens your heart chakra, when somebody does that to you, you just look at them and you open your heart and you smile and be an angel walking on the planet. Angels really are messengers, and they give out that feeling of love and harmony and hope and everything you can imagine. So you can be that right here. You don't have to wait to get, upstairs, so to speak, off planet. You can be an angel here. You know how people say, be an angel. They don't mean it literally, but you can be an angel here, Melissa. Apparently that's what you're working on, right?
Yeah, I want to tell you quickly. I have talked to Metatron, and I do see Michael like every other day. I have seen Gabrielle. I have seen Uriel. I have. I see
Okay,
Michael
now
every
you want to
day.
tell people that you have a gift of either clairvoyance or clairaudience, or did you smell like, sometimes for me it's smelling sandalwood, but I can feel the presence, but you have to want it and on it, and then you have to pretty much have a burning desire and passion, and that love, they're very attracted to that love feeling inside. But Richard does it too. He works with them. But Melissa, tell us why you say that about all those angels that you're working with, or seeing. We'll say seeing, like you did.
I do see them. I mean, I see Michael in action, going back in time. I see him relaxing. I have had Metatron talk to me, Ginger Rail. I see Michael hugging me like I'm under his wing, and I know that there's a lot of different origins in the universe, and I appreciate all of them, and my choice is the archangels. That's my choice. But I wouldn't say I work with them. I mean, I pray that learn my lessons, that become clear. So that I like the energy to the higher energy to go higher, so the negativity energy can go downer, and Mother Earth can take back her planet. I know she's pissed off.
Right. So always remember, everything is alive, everything is energy, everything is essence, and we're all attached to absolutely everything. And if you can raise your consciousness and your love to know that all is the I am, in a way of speaking, we have an unexplained level of existence that those that get close, we really can't even imagine what the whole entirety of all universes are. But those that I've worked with, let's say above Andromeda and Milky Way, with the guardians of the galaxy, or like you said, the Federation, I think various people came up with the Galaxy Federation, and most remember Star Trek. And so there are levels of that. And I've worked with the Council. I've worked with the Ennead 9, which is the Council of 9, the Council of 12, and I've worked for a council at the Andromeda level, like you were asking earlier, and then the Supreme High Council. But when I died, that's when I realized I went through the higher levels because I was told about it, and I felt it in my soul when I was traveling out of body. And out of body and my astral doesn't feel the same as when I died. There's a whole nother feeling besides out-of-body and astral travel. But now a lot of people on Earth only learn what's been written before that hasn't been soiled or taken away or Mother Earth enfolded. So there's a narrative for most people that are Terrans on the planet, and they pretty much follow script. So they'll follow the 12 dimensions with the 3 levels only, and 3 levels in each, which are the 9, 3, 6, 9. But we'll be teaching all that. I hope to start teaching some of the basics that helps people level up, like Marcy does with her tones. And I did make a psychic channel network. It's Creative Commons. It's open source, folks. I don't know if you can get to it, but you can tell it's extraterrestrial. It has lines of a pyramid. It's Psychic Channel Network on YouTube, Melissa. If you want to go and look at some of the basic YouTubes for getting started, because everybody is supposed to be in the 5th dimension or in the process, so you're definitely in the process. But remember, we still have to be grounded while you're serving out your time here, because so many of us are needed on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, you're rising, and people like Marcy can help you, and Richard can help you, and I can help you. But you still have to do your own homework while you're still in form. And there's a lot of things we can't do out there because we don't have a human form. And that's sort of sticky. That's a whole nother reality. And talking about all of that. There's so much to talk about. Melissa, what year were you born?
77.
Yes. I can't hear it.
1977. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay, 77, a Scorpio. Well, have you gotten any calling to do any other work other than angelic work, or is that just your chosen path?
I have some calling from other. I'm not quite clear. I do medicine, concentrate on Mother Earth, register the energy, and I do call the sun a lot.
Will you look up Marcy, Melissa? Marcy, tell her we've only got 4 minutes left, Melissa. Marcy, how can she get on your Facebook or something so she can contact you while she's going through this?
You can email me at marcycostage2@gmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn. You can look at me under Marcy M. McLean or Marcy Costage. I've got my group under Marcy Costage, but my Facebook is Marcy M. McLean when I was doing Psychic Powers Network. So there's the 4 ways you can, and also my YouTubes. If you want to listen to my tones, they're under Marcy Costage. So there's all these different ways to get a hold of me. I've got to drive to work, but I'm glad I got to come on today. So I hope you guys, we can all get together, and I'll probably be on tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to do tomorrow, but maybe Friday or Saturday. We'll definitely we'll do Sunday for sure, but I'm not. I have something that some people need me to do and help them, like charity work. So I have to go help them tomorrow. But all right,
good. I'm glad I got to come on today.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marcy. You did great. Thank you so much for your help.
All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. Much love to you all.
All right.
Okay,
Much love
thank you so much, Marcy. Thank you. Richard, you want to take us out of here, tell people how to contact you, and we'll get these websites going for all these people. They're passionate listeners, and they're growing with us, but we have to be here to help them ground while they're going through all these changes, because everything's fifth and above dimensions, right? And we got to help them on the plane. So basically, people, it's left, right, top, bottom. You know where you're at in the three-dimensional world. Just don't lose sight with your grounding and thinking, and learn what you can and stay with us in this cyberspace culture, and we'll try to help you as much as we can. Richard, how they get in contact with you?
You can reach me on Facebook under Richard Knight. You'll know it's me because you'll see the Archangel Michael with a sword pointed down towards the earth. And I have even added my face pic on there now so that all of my old friends and family members can also join me once again, since Facebook did away with my prior profile. Anyway, you can also reach me at RTKnight35. That's my initials, Richard Thomas Knight, last name KNIGHT 35 at gmail.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. And I'm available most of the time. I'm here on Earth and then out there in the galaxy and out there in the cosmos at times, and just hither and all over the place. But it's exciting and it's wonderful. And, all of the gifts that we have, anyone can use them. It's just a matter of focus and attuning your attention inwardly to develop these gifts. You want to reach out to angels, you can reach out to angels. But again, you tune inwardly. You don't ask outwardly. Your focus is always inwardly, because that's where they hear you. Okay? TJ?
Yeah, thank you so much. Melissa, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Marcy Cosich. Thank you, Laura Leone. And I didn't even ask her if it was Leone or Leone. Did she mention how to say Leone? I'm not sure, but we appreciate Laura and everyone that's growing with us. Thank you. Hang in there. It's going to get better. It's just we're growing and we're all changing so fast. And everybody, even in AI and IBM computers and the smartest, computers in the world, can't keep up with the energy that is greater than all of us, the unexplained. But stay with us, folks, and we'll do our best. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but probably I've pretty much committed to Sundays with Richard and Wednesdays. And I know you guys like us to do readings, and I have to be where other people in my physical reality don't need my human form to do that, because it really takes my physical to go in person and do
Maybe
these
we
things.
can do that on Saturday if you like, you know?
Okay. Do readings on Saturday. Okay, well, folks,
fine.
if you want to do readings, yeah, they'll show up if they know that we're, going to do them. So, folks, we'll try to do readings Saturday, same time, same station. I just let them know we're going to do readings. And always look on my friend Marcia Booserhaney at night. She has free psychics, 9 to 11, I think, here on BTR. She's from right here with me. She's from Pensacola. I'm going to go. Thank you, Richard. And I've got all these domains, and I need to start getting one with all of us on it, Richard. So try to remind me this week to get that now that I got some money coming in off of my Social Security. All right, love and light, folks. Stay alive.
Love and light, y'all.
Yeah.
Ciao for now.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bluegrass trains are coming. I say the bluegrass trains are coming from Beaverdale down to Alabama. The bluegrass trains are coming. Bluegrass trains are coming. Long, long train running. It's a song's refrain, and I gotta remain. Bluegrass trains are coming. Bluegrass trains are coming. You'll hear Bill Monroe's a strumming. Lester Flatt, Earl Scruggs, Ralph Stanley's giving hugs. 'Cause the bluegrass trains are coming. For many years it has been running from the town of Rosine down to New Orleans. The bluegrass trains are coming. See the white clouds a chugging. Hear the big, big wheels a humming. From the Ohio down to Mexico. Trains are coming. It's the sound of long time ago. Sounds that we all know. See the engineer, now the legend is